What is going on, boys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing something that I honestly had a lot of fun doing. But first, I need to give you guys some context. So, I recently, well, not recently, but I have posted in the past a video titled How an Endgame Player Would Start a New Profile. And it did great. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people got some useful things out of it. A lot of people were still confused because it was a little bit of an information sensory overload. So today, the early game has changed slightly, or it is changing as the new updates are coming out. So I figured I would do an updated, more storytelling, walkthrough, guidey kind of video. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I actually had a lot of fun making this video. If it does well, then expect this style in the future. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get into it. Before we actually start, I do want to ask you guys to please scroll down and subscribe. We are going for 30K, and the YouTube rank in every subscription helps me out immensely. This is the final push. We are 1,500 subscribers away. Hopefully we can hit it soon and finally get that juicy YouTube rank. Enjoy the video. I immediately decided to get to work by deleting an old profile I had tested this on a week prior and making a new profile. Little did I know that there was a profile cooldown, so I had to wait a little bit before starting. When you first load in your profile, you should immediately head for the hub. Your private island is pretty useless right now. The first thing I decided to do was go talk to Jamie. Jamie is the most important villager NPC you will talk to because he very graciously gives you a rogue sword, a weapon that grants 100 speed, effectively doubling it every time you use the ability. This makes movement across all the islands much less painful. I then spoke to a few more villagers while making my way over to the wheat farm. The wheat we are farming is not for food, surprisingly. It is to obtain our first little bit of coinage so that we can make some much needed purchases. We ended up with a respectable 10k, and I wanted to finish talking to all of the villagers for my first quest completion for 5 Skyblock XP. Remember, the goal is 700 Skyblock XP, also known as the first 7 levels, so that we can access the Bazaar, which really opens up the game, unless you're Iron Man, of course. Before I would forget, I made sure to purchase wooden tools from the lumber merchant in order to craft future minions. Each minion craft gave plus 1 Skyblock XP, and it may not seem like much, but that adds up over time. I also made sure to talk to the librarian for another 5 Skyblock XP. While over here, I bought 18 gold and 18 coal for the mine merchant, for a very important purchase, the bee pet. The bee pet can be bought from bee for 5k coins and 2 gold and 2 coal blocks. The reason why this purchase is so important is so that we can start gaining taming XP. A common pet added to our pets menu also gives us plus 3 Skyblock XP. Do not forget to actually equip the bee pet, otherwise you will not gain taming XP. The first time I did this, I forgot to equip it. I wasn't happy with how my purse was looking, so I decided to purchase a rookie hoe from the farm merchant and do another round of wheat. I ended up with farming 7 and decided this was good enough before continuing on to my next task. Mining level 12. In order to start mining, I needed the tool for it first. The always handy and trusty shovel? That's right. Instead of a pickaxe, we need a shovel to mine sand in the Mushroom Desert, the fastest way to get early mining levels that you need. But a gold shovel wouldn't be good enough. We had to make it at least efficiency 2 in order to insta-mine sand. But I wanted efficiency 3 for the bonus enchanting XP. So I bought exactly 66 bottles of XP to get level 20 in order to get efficiency 3. With the shovel we enchanted, we officially hit level 1, and it was time to make our way over to the Mushroom Desert. On my way, I made sure to talk to the farmer, as well as the farmhand, as both reward you with a bonus 5 Skyblock XP each. I also made sure to farm potatoes and carrots to collection level 1 for another 4 Skyblock XP each. I used /EC to open my first ender chest slot, which I didn't know that for the longest time when I first started playing, so I'm guessing you guys don't either, and dump my inventory so I had more storage to hold all of the sand I was about to mine. The reason why we need mining level 12 is so that we can gain access to the Dwarven mines, the first major milestone in Skyblock progression. Why, you may ask? So that we can start making around 11 million coins an hour in our first couple hours on a new profile. The only part I really had to pay attention to was remembering to right-click the rogue sword every 30 seconds for speed, and also making sure to pick up the stacks of sand because I didn't have auto pickup unlocked yet. So I mined and mined until I finally got to sand collection 7, as well as mining level 12. I got a bunch of taming levels along the way as well. I decided only to get the sand minion to level 4 because I wanted to sell most of the sand for coins later. You may also be asking why I decided to store the sand in its normal version instead of its enchanted version. And the reason is because I forgot to unlock carpentry before coming here. I wanted to unlock it before I crafted the enchanted sand so that I could level the carpentry skill. So first things first, I went to the wool weaver to purchase a stack of wool to complete the carpenter's task and unlock the carpentry skill. Getting carpentry to level 3 and having a rank that is VIP or higher, so basically any rank, also allows you to use Quickcraft. Quickcraft is extremely useful. All of the sand I had got me to carpentry level 3 and another 15 Skyblock XP, and I sold the sand for about 17k coins. It's not great, but it's not horrible. Next, I needed to start progressing through Skyblock levels, and the best way to do that was Foraging. Foraging offers easy early levels and many collections, amounting to a lot of Skyblock XP. The fastest way to chop down trees was with an item called the Jungle Axe, which I purchased an efficiency 5 one for 31k, so I didn't have to actually make it efficiency 5 on my own. Most of my purse came from just leveling mining, and I'm very happy that the early levels grant a useful amount of coins. I also made sure to talk to the banker for another 5 Skyblock XP before talking to the lumberjack for, you guessed it, more Skyblock XP. And then the foraging grind began, starting with oak. From the early foraging levels, I was able to hit Skyblock level 3 as well as Oak Collection 4 before moving on. I also made sure to craft my Oak 2 minion. Next, I moved on to the park, where most of the different kinds of trees are located. The first wood found here is birch. I actually ran into some competition for the birch wood, and he had a better axe, so instead of yelling at him in chat, I decided it would be better for the both of us if I would just move on to a different lobby and save some time. If this happens to you, I just recommend you leave too. Again, it saves time for the both of you. Don't underestimate how stubborn people can be. I once again crafted a tier 2 birch minion and moved on to spruce. Birch might be the worst wood to actually grind because of the piles, but there is no shortage of piles in the spruce area, unless there is competition of course. I quickly got spruce 3 and crafted a tier 2 spruce minion, then moved on to dark oak. Dark oak is by far the easiest wood to grind in the game due to how large the trees are. This also comes with the most competition from real players, but there should be enough wood to go around. I got Dark Oak 3, crafted a tier 2 minion, and didn't move on quite yet. I wanted to try the campfire trial. The campfire trial is a trial where you talk to Ryan, then stand inside the campfire and see if you can survive. You can use different items to help you to survive for longer, such as Mastiff armor, health pots, power orbs, etc., in order to obtain higher tiers of the campfire badge. A talisman, also known now as an accessory. Accessories give you Skyblock XP based on their rarity, but they have to be inside your accessory bag, which is unlocked through the redstone collection. When I tested this run a week ago, I was actually able to survive the first 2 trials you needed for the talisman without anything special. This time, however, I wasn't so lucky, and I'm really not sure what the difference was. Maybe someone had an orb placed that I didn't know about, but with that failure out of the way, I moved on to acacia. Acacia wood is no different than any of the other woods we've had, but it does have a special NPC on a small island off to the side called Melody. Melody has a harp that you can play that will grant you intelligence and Skyblock XP for completing songs flawlessly. If you are able to complete all of the songs, you get an accessory called Melody's Hair, which is an epic accessory. This in turn grants 12 Skyblock XP, but only if it's inside your accessory bag, so we would have to unlock that first. Completing all of the songs perfectly grants a whopping 137 Skyblock XP total, as well as some permanent intelligence upgrades. One thing to note is that this minigame is very ping based, meaning the worse connection you have to the server, or the worse the server is performing overall, the harder it will be to not miss the notes. Possible tips for completing the heart would be to swap your left and middle click keys so that you don't actually pick up the wool blocks when clicking on them. You can also enlarge your GUI to give larger targets to click, and you can also try lowering your sense so that your mouse movements are more deliberate and have less movement error. I would also recommend trying to not do this on a trackpad. If you are unable to complete the heart, I will have tips later on how to supplement that XP that you would have gotten from Melody. But for now, here is me completing every song. Tip: remember to swap your left and middle click back after you finish Melody. The last wood we had was jungle, and by this point you should all know the routine by now. Just got our collection of minion and we headed out. I immediately warped back to the hub and ran back to the auction house to spend more money. Except this time I was buying pets for Skyblock XP. Just like how I got Skyblock XP from the bee pet, there are other cheap pets you can buy, and the higher the rarity, the more XP you get. The first pet I bought was a rare Enderman for 4,000 coins, then an epic armadillo for 30k, and then I checked on epic tarantula and epic ghoul, but both were way overpriced for now. When I tried this a week ago, I was able to get all of these pets for under 60k total. The rare Enderman got me 9 XP, the epic armadillo got me 12, and if I would have gotten the epic tarantula and epic ghoul, I would have gotten a bonus 12 from each of those as well. Now comes another super easy way to get XP. Slayers, or at least the early Slayers. But first we need an actual sword that was not the rogue sword. So I bought the undead sword from the weaponsmith and enchanted it with Smite 4, gaining another enchanting level. I made sure to equip my rare Enderman for a few bonus combat stats and ran back over towards the bartender, near the lumberjack. Talking to the bartender allows you to complete the bartender's quest, which is killing 10 zombies. Upon doing this, you unlock Maddox the Slayer and Slayer quests. We're going to be focusing on the Revenant Tier 1 Slayer, because it's the easiest one. Killing one of these bosses gets you 5 XP, and to get to Revenant Slayer 2, we need 15 Slayer XP. Upon completing this, you get 40 XP total between level 1 and level 2. I also got a bunch of combat levels and a collection level up in zombie flesh. Finally, we have achieved our goal of Skyblock level 7. But don't go anywhere. That is not the point of this video, although it is very helpful for people just starting out. The goal of this video is to get you to make 11 million coins an hour so that you can purchase solid items that can progress your profile. So let's do that. I want to make a video on updated early game money making methods, so I'm not going to showcase 20 different methods in this video. However, I am going to show you guys one of, if not the best one, when you have absolutely 0 coins to your name, like I do right now. To do this, we need to head back to the Mushroom Desert. Before we head there, in order to save time, you should head to the bazaar and purchase an inventory full of chum. It may not make sense right now, but just trust me. Store this chum in your ender chest. Upon arriving, follow this path down to the glowing mushroom cave. You guessed it, we're going to be farming glowing mushrooms. Glowing mushrooms are very easy to farm and can make you around 4 to 5 mil an hour depending on how efficient you are. The reason why they are highlighted green is from a mod that I use called NEU, or Not Enough Updates. I would recommend you use Forge if you aren't already, and definitely install this mod and use it to help grind glowing mushrooms. A safe download to this mod can be found in my Discord, which will be linked in the description. Our goal right now is to obtain Moby's shears, and in order to do that, we need to complete Moby's quest. We need to purchase an empty bucket, fill it with chum, then bring it back to Moby. Remember how I said to buy chum before? Well, I forgot. So I had to warp back to the hub to buy chum, then run all the way back. Moby's shears cost 5 filled chum buckets, or 8 glowing mushrooms and 2k coins per, and 15 glowing mushrooms. These shears are extremely important because using them grants you 2 glowing mushrooms per glowing mushroom mined instead of 1. This effectively doubles your rates. After you have obtained these shears, you need to farm glowing mushrooms for a considerable amount of time to start building your purse. I farmed glowing mushrooms for exactly 16 minutes and was able to obtain 20 stacks and 56 of glowing mushrooms. For reference, we're trying to convert these glowing mushrooms into chumming accessories, which sell on average for 500k per on the AH. That means if you cut out all the time it takes to fill up the buckets with chum, it's around 7.5 mil per hour. Not too shabby at all. But remember, this also fluctuates. As I went to buy my first half stack of empty chum buckets to start filling them up, I realized I had a problem. I didn't have enough coins in my purse. I need 64k coins to get this started. I already had 40k, but I needed more. Luckily, I could just sell the normal mushrooms I had gotten while getting the glowing mushrooms. After heading back to the hub to sell the mushrooms and coming all the way back again, I started to fill up the buckets with chum so I could buy my first chumming talisman. One other thing to note, filling buckets with chum is an amazing way to get early fishing levels. Another cool thing is you also get 20 coins per chum you put inside a chum bucket. So I made a decent amount of coinage back just from filling them up. I went to the AH and listed my chumming talisman. I had to wait for it to sell so that I could use the money to buy the other chumming accessories and then sell those. After waiting not too long, it sold, and I repeated the process for the other chumming accessories. After a while, those sold, and I had enough money to purchase the item we've been going for this entire time, the Aurora staff. Sometimes it'll be listed on AH for anywhere from 1.4 mil to 2.5 mil. Depending on how much it is that day, that's how many chumming accessories you have to get. So if it's more expensive, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to grind for a little bit longer. With this Aurora staff, we were able to make 11 million coins per hour inside the Dwarven mines. But first, we needed to enchant it with Looting 4. Looting 4 is relatively cheap. I was able to get mine for around 22k, and it is well worth the money because it increases drops from mobs by 75%. There is an anvil you can use to add it to your Aurora staff in the hub, but you will need 100 levels to do so. Don't forget that people can steal your levels from standing next to you like I did. I also made sure to do the blacksmith quest and got super lucky getting heroic on my Aurora staff first try. For those of you that don't know, it grants extra mana. The more mana you have, the more abilities you can use. I went back to the auction house in order to purchase a very useful utility item called the Aspect of the End, or the AOTE. The AOTE is extremely useful because you can use its ability to teleport, allowing you to fly through the air as long as you have enough mana. I would wait until you have this sword before you actually start grinding fairy souls. After these purchases, I made my way to the deep caverns, made sure to talk to the lift operator, and started to make my way down, unlocking all of the areas. I got lost on some parts, but eventually made my way down to the Obsidian Sanctuary, where I would need to talk to Reese. Reese has changed recently. Instead of needing 10 enchanted items of 3 different ores, you actually only need 15 enchanted of one type of ore, so it was a great change. I went back to the hub to purchase 15 enchanted gold because it is the cheapest resource you can buy right now, and trucked back to the deep caverns in order to enter the Dwarven mines. It is here I feel I should mention something. I completely forgot that you can visit people named Portal Hub or Portal Hub 2 or anyone else who has a hub of portals in order to warp to places you have already unlocked. This would have saved me a ton of time instead of running back and forth every time. These islands also have cakes that offer a little boost in every single stat and are free to eat. When this video comes out, I will also be converting my island into a warp hub. So if you want cakes, a free fairy soul, and easy warps, especially without the island filling up and being on cooldown, be sure to /visit Yadi. With that achievement out of the way, here comes the money making part. If you walk forward a bit and teleport up, or walk up the stairs because you don't have enough mana, you will turn left and find the upper mines, where treasure hoarders spawn. Treasure hoarders are the main mob we will be grinding in order to make coins. And with our Aurora staff, we will be able to one-shot them most of the time. These hoarders generally drop 2 starfall per kill, and also rarely some treasurite and a reforged stone called the kaleidoscope mineral. Killing these treasure hoarders also shot up my combat levels super fast, allowing me to unlock potential areas like the End at level 12 and the Crimson Isle at level 22. After a little bit of grinding, I died. I totally forgot how hard these hoarders hit, and I lost half my coins. Me being stupid, I forgot there was a bank in the Dwarven mines, so I decided to drop off the rest of my coins before I die and lose those too. And then I died again. I decided I needed to make an effort into obtaining cheap, but definitely better gear to shield me from these hard-hitting minemen. I also checked in on the Forge to confirm that I needed Heart of the Mountain Tier 2 before I actually unlock any Forge slots and I'm able to use it. The Forge is something vital to this money-making method. So I went back to the hub and purchased a full set of glacite armor. Glacite armor is awesome. It grants a ton of defense, true defense, as well as some bonus speed for getting around quicker. The entire set only cost me roughly 100k. When I arrived back in the Dwarven mines, I bought a fractured mithril pickaxe. This pickaxe is important because it has enough breaking power to break titanium. If you didn't know, different things you can mine have different breaking powers, requiring different tools to be able to break them. The higher the breaking power, the slower the block breaks as well. I made sure to take this pickaxe back to the hub and throw efficiency 5 on it for more mining speed, then back to the mines I went to actually mine this time. I spoke with the king in order to see my first few commissions and made sure to do my daily puzzler powder before I left, allowing me to get my first few mining speed upgrades in my heart of the mountain. I mined some mithril and titanium in order to complete my first few commissions, making use of the active event called Mine Together that was currently ongoing, granting me 500 mining speed if I was mining next to someone. When you first start out, you mine so incredibly slowly that these kinds of mining events are godsends, and you should always be making use of them. After not too long, I hit Heart of the Mountain level 2, Skyblock level 10, and was finally able to use the Forge. The reason why the Forge is so important is because you can now convert Starfall into power crystals, which sell for way more than the separate Starfall would sell for by itself. Unfortunately, the Forge cannot keep up with how fast you can grind the Starfall, but this extra profit will always be worth it. So back to grinding treasure hoarders I went. We need the money in order to buy essentials, such as a god pot, a cookie, and some starter accessories to start building MP. And I died again. Looks like glacite armor alone wasn't going to be enough. So I decided to go and buy some Grand XP bottles to start enchanting my armor with Protection 5 and Growth 5. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough coinage, so I was only able to enchant the armor pieces with Protection 5. The hub enchantment table also didn't have enough bookshelf power to get Growth 5 yet, so if I wanted that, I would have to buy bookshelves and make an enchantment table for my island. I also took this time to reforge the armor pieces to Wise for more mana, which would increase my ability damage. After this was when I finally remembered Portal Hub, and about eating cakes, so I went and did that. Eventually I got sick of being ambushed by spawning hoarders, and I finished reforging my armor, bought an enchantment table and bookshelves, and got Growth 5 on my armor. This was finally able to keep me alive, for the most part. If I could go back to past Yadi, I would have just enchanted my Aurora staff with Lifesteal, an enchant that is unlocked at enchanting level 5. This heals you every time you damage an enemy, and would have helped out with healing, because natural regen completely sucks. I left my Starfall to sell and returned the very next day, to which I had enough money to finally purchase a God Potion. Now, I had to be extremely careful because I did not have Cookie Buff, so if I were to die, I would lose my God Potion. However, the God Potion has great regen, and I never really had to worry about dying again. It also has a ton of other potion effects that help with damage, as well as leveling up combat faster with a combat XP boost potion effect. Everything was going swimmingly, but there was one thing keeping me from grinding efficiently. You see, there is a damage drop-off on the Aurora staff beam, starting after 10 blocks. In order to be efficient with treasure hoarders, you have to be able to kill them from afar. Otherwise, you won't be able to kill all 7 spawns before they respawn. Generally, they respawn about every 10 seconds, so you need to be able to kill all 7 in under 10 seconds. In order to counter this, I went to the Hypixel Skyblock wiki to see easy ways I could increase ability damage. What I found was very helpful. I realized there was a cheap piece of armor I could buy from the NPC in the dungeon hub, called the Dark Goggles. These goggles were extremely good for increasing damage because of one reason. They gave a ton of ability damage. And ability damage is what we need for the Aurora staff. Other ways to increase ability damage would be increasing your intelligence stat, buying a sheep pet, which I was actually able to get an epic one for relatively cheap, and unlocking the magical power Sighted by buying ender monocles. I also went out of my way to mine the newly added redstone blocks in Dwarven mines to unlock the small accessory bag. With all these upgrades, it helped my one-tapping abilities tremendously. I was even able to one-shot 60k health runic treasure hoarders. Keep in mind, up to this point, I've only played on this profile for a total of less than 3 hours. People go 100 hours before they can actually make over 10 mil an hour. I finally decided it was time to test how much money I was making per hour. I actually was only able to test around 15 minutes because I was needed elsewhere. So these rates were all multiplied by 4 to get hourly rates. In 15 minutes, I obtained 20 stacks of Starfall, which would be about 80 stacks an hour. This came out to 5,128 Starfall an hour, subtracted by 256 because the Forge makes 2 power crystals every 2 hours. and that's how much Starfall gets sold to the bazaar. At 2.3k per Starfall, this is 11.2 mil per hour. I added 900k for every power crystal I was making per hour, because that's what they were currently selling for, bringing the total up to 12.1 mil per hour off of Starfall alone. I also got 13 Treasurite, multiplied by 4 would be 52, times around 50k, which was what they were selling for. Add that to the previous total, and you're making 14.7 million coins per hour. If you were to take the time to actually convert all the Starfall to power crystals, you would actually make around 18 mil total. That's incredibly good for the first 3 hours on a profile. So there you have it. That is actually how I would start a new profile, and exactly the steps I took while doing it. From here, I would probably grind Hoarders until combat level 22, so I can unlock the Crimson Isle and the Mage faction and be able to buy Grand XP bottles for cheap from the NPC. By doing this, I could start progressing through the Rift. Apparently, if you have good ping and some skill, you can farm tier 5 vampire bosses and make anywhere from 36 to 42 mil completely solo. And even more money if you can find a party to loot share. This is by far the best early game money making method, and by far the best Rift method if this is true. If you would like to see me do this in the next video and test it, make sure to drop a like and a comment telling me that. If you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. It means you probably like the content and you probably want to see more of it, so please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, gamers, and have a great rest of your day. Peace!